Welcome back to Video Rental Chaos. Today, we're tackling the film that finally asked the question, what if Jason Voorhees took a vacation to hell? That's right, because on my way home from Camp Crystal Lake today, I stopped off at my local video store and I rented Jason Goes to Hell, The Final Friday. Because you know, slashing teenagers, been there, done that, time for a new hobby, body hopping. So grab your machete and lock your doors, and let's find out if The Final Friday was really worth the trip to hell. Well, I told you Jason Goes to Manhattan ultimately doomed the Friday the 13th franchise. Jason Goes to Hell is the first attempt at a Jason film by New Line Cinema. When you take a quick look on the internet, a lot of people do not have favorable things to say about this film. I give you assurance, I'm not one of those people. I have found why I love this film and totally intend on enlightening you on why Jason Goes to Hell rocks. Now, before Jason transfers his soul back into my body, let's jump right on into The Final Friday, Jason Goes to Hell. A random woman has driven out to Camp Crystal Lake. She looks to be out for a nice weekend in the woods. Well, that's till Jason Voorhees shows up. He chases her outside of the home, but eventually Jason is surprised by the FBI SWAT team that was waiting for her. This whole thing was a setup to kill Jason Voorhees, once and for all. A mysterious man is seen in the woods, as he does not seem convinced by what he just witnessed. Jason's remains are taken into the morgue. During the routine review of the body, Jason's heart is still beating and the coroner decides to have a late night snack and eats it. This allows Jason Voorhees' soul to transfer to his body. This leads to a massacre in the morgue as he escapes after killing 2 FBI guards and another coroner. A national TV show has a one-on-one interview with Creighton Duke, who says he will kill Jason Voorhees for good as long as somebody pays him $500,000. The host of the show, Robert Campbell, is prepared to make the offer. We see a waitress at a local diner has a run-in with Creighton, who then implies to her that he knows that she knows that Jason is coming for her. Diana then tells her daughter's ex-boyfriend Steven that she needs to talk to him that night. While making his way out to her home, Steven picks up 3 teenagers on the side of the road, who are heading to Camp Crystal Lake in order to smoke some weed and have some premarital sex, and hopefully avoid getting slaughtered. Well, the whole slaughter part didn't work out as Jason shows up, and let's just say he takes care of them one by one. We see that Jason has then zoned in on Diana at the restaurant. Before he heads to her home, he must take another body. After claiming the new body, he attacks Diana while she is on the phone with her daughter Jessica. Jessica being freaked out after her mother abruptly hangs up. She calls the local police. Steven then shows up and is able to help Diana, but ultimately she is killed by Jason. The cops show up and Jason is nowhere to be found and they take Steven into custody. Steven then meets Duke for the first time in jail, as Duke gives him the information regarding the Voorhees family, but at a price. Steven knows he has to save Jessica and his daughter. He escapes jail and heads to the Voorhees family home. Here we see the Necronomicon is amongst some of the random books in the home. While in the house, Jessica's boyfriend shows up and gets a phone call. Basically, he lays it out. His plan is to score ratings with his Voorhees story, as he stole Diana's body and plans on having the police find it live on TV. Well, those plans went out the window as Jason takes out Campbell and transfers his heart to his body. Jessica is then in trouble as Jason fully intends to transfer his heart now to her in order to be reborn. Steven is able to thwart the plan of Jason and him and Jessica get the hell out of Dodge. She still thinks he is the killer of her mother and ditches him, leaving him stranded. Steven is eventually picked up as he knows Jason will stop at nothing to find Jessica. She soon finds out that Steven was not lying as Jason shows up at the police station and begins to take out everyone. Steven, again for the time being, stops Jason and saves Jessica again. During this time though, Duke is able to escape. Steven and Jessica head to the diner to find their baby. They run into issues with the owner but find out that the baby is missing and a letter reveals to go to the Voorhees home alone. Jason shows up at the diner and takes out everyone there in extreme fashion. Jessica then again ditches Steven and heads to the home. After she meets up with Duke, he explores the lore of Jason and how only she can stop him. She's given a dagger that she will need to use in order to kill her uncle once and for all. We cut back to the diner and an unknown officer is then accosted by Jason Voorhees. Back at the Voorhees home, two cops show up and Duke, who had previously fallen through the floor, insists that Jessica cannot trust them and must kill them both. Now knowing Jason had possessed Randy, he tries to be reborn through the baby. Steven again shows up and stops this from taking place as he chops his head off with a machete. They help Duke out, but then realize that Diana's body is in the basement, and well, that little monster had escaped, is now reborn back into Jason Voorhees himself. They must retrieve the dagger as Duke tries to distract Jason, but ends up getting killed. Steven and Jason go to battle outside the home. Right when you think it's over, Jessica is able to take the dagger and stab Jason. He struggles some more, but she lays the final kick in, and demonic hands from hell pop up and drag Jason away forever. The final scene in the movie shows Steven and Jessica with their daughter walking into the early morning sunlight. While a dog uncovers Jason's mask, all of a sudden Freddy Krueger's claw pops up from hell and finishes the job. Lots of people will say that Jason Goes to Hell, the final Friday, is a lackluster entry into the franchise. I would argue that those people have no idea what they're talking about. Let's break this down. After 8 installments into the Friday the 13th series, what the hell did you expect from this franchise? So New Line Cinema took a chance and threw together a backstory for Jason Voorhees. Now, I was talking to my buddy Brandon Allen about this film. He pointed out that Jason Voorhees is the ultimate Deadeye by the inclusion of the Necronomicon. With the Necronomicon being involved, this really could be considered an Evil Dead movie. With that all being said, to me, that's fucking cool. The Necronomicon is what holds this movie together and tells you exactly why Jason is able to do what he does throughout this film. Jason Goes to Hell sets up what would be Freddy vs. Jason, as that movie was intended to happen a lot sooner than it did. Plus, with the Necronomicon being introduced into the franchise, this really could have set up Ash becoming involved in the series. Obviously, this never materialized, but damn, the possibilities. I really think people need to lighten up on this film, okay? At the end of the day, they tried something different, and personally, I think they hit it out of the park. So until the next Friday the 13th next year in 2025, stay away from Camp Crystal Lake, okay? And until then, I'll see you at the video store.